Hey, Shay here. So, this is going to be my full spoiler-free review of Crime 101, and I'm going to summarize it again very quickly. So, it is a new crime thriller starring Chris Hemsworth. You have Monica Barbaro, you have Barry Keoghan, Halle Berry, you have Mark Ruffalo, and in summary, you have a LA detective who is on pursuit of this elusive thief who ends up teaming up with an insurance broker for one last heist. And so Chris Hemsworth's character is Mike Davis. He is the elusive jewel thief. Monica Barbaro is her character's Maya, and she is a love interest of sorts in the movie. You have Barry Keoghan, who's Ormond, who is also another thief of sorts. Halle Berry, her character is Sharon Calvin, and she's the insurance broker. And then you have Mark Ruffalo's character, who is the detective. In this movie, I think I only saw one or two trailers for it. And I knew that it was going to be a thriller, but I wasn't too sure kind of what the extent was. And it was a surprising film. It was very, very captivating, I have to say. It was very... Even though there's times in the movie that I found myself kind of looking around and there were moments that it felt a little bit slow. Overall, it was a very, very captivating film. Chris Hemsworth character, he's someone that is trying to be someone that he's not, trying to prove himself in a way. And then Halle Berry, she's this very hardworking insurance broker, and she has her own struggles. And then you have Mark Ruffalo's character, detective, and, he's the guy that, people are not really thinking much of, and is the one that's kind of dragging everything down. So it's really interesting that this movie, you end up in a way following Chris Hemsworth's story, Halle Berry's story, and then you have Mark Ruffalo's story, and you're following all their stories along as the movie goes forward and continues, but they all end up intersecting in their own ways, which I thought that was really, really interesting. I thought the acting was superb. I thought the acting was great, especially the one character that drove me up the wall, which is a really good sign, is Barry Keoghan, Ormond. He was someone that, when you watch, I'm sure everyone's experienced this TV show, movie, where you get so angry at one of the actors or actresses that you just want to turn the TV off. That was him. The character he played was just this, something else, just vile, I would describe his character. And, you really feel for, Chris Hemsworth, Mike and Sharon and Mark Ruffalo, the detective. You really end up feeling for each one of them in your own way. And you end up in a weird way. It's one of those where it's, you're rooting, even if it's a character that is not doing something is necessarily good legally. And this is not just with Chris Hemsworth's character. There's other people that are involved that this example could fall into. You end up, in a way, understanding why they're doing the things that they're doing. When you look at something on the surface, there's so much more underneath that this movie dives into. There were some really fast car chases too. I was having to pace my breathing in this movie. One big aspect I have to say that really made this movie was the music. The music definitely impacted this movie in so many good ways. The actual way that they filmed and the angles and things like that, I thought that was really cool. And, it's a movie that really highlights how the rich are. It highlights insurance companies and how they are. and how the little guy just wants to be cut a break. And, you know, the movie went in a direction that I wasn't expecting. I really, really wasn't. And it's a movie that it's going to surprise you, you know, where you're expecting one thing to happen and something else happens. And just when you think that, all right, you know, I think that the movie's coming to a wrap, it does not come to a wrap then, which I'm really happy about. I like the way that the movie ended. It ended in a really interesting way. But yeah, so overall, I thought this was a really great movie. I didn't see it in IMAX. It is available to see in IMAX. I would be curious to know how it compares in IMAX. So if anyone does see it in IMAX, I would love to hear about how you found it, because I always love seeing IMAX movies. I thought it was fantastic just seeing in standard. So it is a movie that you can see in standard. There were some really funny moments, moments that were filled with irony, I guess you would say. And, you know, overall, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good, and it was in a way better than I expected. You know, I wasn't too sure about it from the trailer, but the trailer does not stack up to how the movie was. And I thought the movie did a really good job. I thought it was very creative with the crime, robbery, you know, there's like Drive, for example. You know, that is, in a sense, you know, you have a getaway driver and thieves and thefts and, you know, robberies. This one goes into a completely different atmosphere. And one other thing that I do want to mention is, so you have Barry Keoghan, who's Ormond, and then you have Chris Hemsworth, who is Mike Davis. They are both thieves, but they are both polar opposite thieves, which is really interesting. So you get to see one who's very controlled and one that is very out of control in different ways. So yeah, no, this movie had a lot of elements that I really, really liked. It wasn't filled with a whole lot of violence either. There is still some violence, but that's not the premise, which I also really, really liked. But yes, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for actually, if you made it to this point, thank you so much. I'm always appreciative of people that actually watch my videos until the end. And I think that's everything that I can say from that is spoiler free. So thanks so much again. Please let me know if you enjoyed it, if you'd recommend it, if it surprised you, and until the next movie. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.